So the first thing you want to do is click on Choose Your Favorite Streams, which is this big icon right here. And when you do, you'll see a pop-up that comes up like this. And each of these sources of social conversations we call streams. So we have blogs, forums, multiple social networks. Under Q&A sites right now, we have Yahoo Answers. Under video sites right now, we have YouTube. So these are all areas of the internet where social conversations are happening, and you can pull those conversations back into Traffic Advantage. So you really have the option of selecting whichever streams you want. If this is your first time using the tool, you might just want to select all of them just to see what the tool can do and pull all of these social conversations back in. What's going to happen when I click confirm is that the tool will prompt me to enter a keyword. So I'm going to enter freelance writing. And when I do, what it's going to do is go out to all of the different freelance writing blogs out there, and it's going to pull back conversations, blog posts where people are commenting on those posts. And those posts will be specific to freelance writing. Same thing with forums. It will go out and find forums that are specific to freelance writing and actually isolate specific threads within those forums, and so on and so forth. So using this tool, you can just basically slice right in to those social conversations that are happening in your niche. It's very, very powerful. So I'm going to leave all of these streams selected right now. Now over here on the left, we have some additional settings: human emulation, proxy rotation, and proxy settings. So what are those exactly? Well, in a nutshell, Traffic Advantage, when you start running it, it's going to be going out to these big sites like Google and Facebook and YouTube and lots of other sites, and it's going to be querying those sites repeatedly in order to gather all the data and pull it back into the tool. And sometimes when you do that too quickly or too aggressively, Google or Facebook will put a temporary block on your IP address because this tool, by default, is running from your IP address. So that block, again, is temporary, and it'll be lifted usually in a couple of hours, but that can cause delays for you. So what we've done is we've built in a number of safeguards into the tool through human emulation, proxy rotation, and proxy settings that will prevent that from happening. So we'll cover proxy rotation and proxy settings in a future video. Those are more advanced features. Human emulation, the whole purpose of this section and these settings is to make it look like a human is doing these queries and gathering this data. Is to make it seem like this is not an automated tool going out and tapping Google and tapping Facebook instead. It's an actual human. Now, we know that's not the case, but these settings are to make it look that way. So what I would recommend is just leaving these settings as they are. You can change them if you want, but these default settings are what I recommend. So just leave this checked, visit search engine's homepage, leave this checked, enable human emulation delays. And what this will do is instead of just querying Google or Facebook or another site over and over and over again at the same frequency, it will basically mix it up, and it will create a random delay between those queries, between 5 and 10 seconds. And it will do the same thing for going between different results pages. So you don't have to understand all of this in depth right now. The whole idea here, though, is to make it look like a human is doing these queries. And if you just leave these settings in place, you should be good to go. Again, proxy rotation and proxy settings are more advanced features that provide additional safeguards, and we'll cover those in a future video. So going back, once you've reviewed your human emulation, go back to preferred social media, make sure that you've selected the streams that you want to be pulling data from, and then go ahead and click confirm. And at that stage, the tool will ask you to enter your search text. And here, just go ahead and enter your main keyword for your niche. That's what I recommend for the first time that you use the tool. Later on, you can go back and enter more specific niche-related keywords, but for now, just enter the general keyword that best describes your niche. So I'm in the freelance writing niche, so I'm going to enter freelance writing. If you were in the dog training niche, you would enter dog training. If you were in the organic gardening niche, you would enter organic gardening. So just the general keyword phrase that best describes what your niche is about, and then click on confirm. And when you do that, the tool will go to work and it will begin going out on the internet and pulling back these social conversations. You can see that it's tapping into niche blogs and pulling back freelance writing related conversations. It's tapping into niche forums. It's tapping into Facebook, Twitter, Google, LinkedIn, Yahoo Answers, and YouTube. And you can see the data being loaded, or at least the progress of the data down here. So you can watch the tool populate, What I would do at this stage is just wait. Just kind of let it run in the background on your computer. It can take some time to gather all of the data together. So again, you can watch these progress bars and just let the tool run, let it populate. If at any time you feel like you've gathered enough, then you can go ahead and click this pause button up here. But I like to let it run until I have as much data as possible. So I'm going to pause this video. I'm going to let the tool run for a while and gather all of this data for us, and then we'll return. Now just unpause the video for a moment because sometimes you'll notice that you will get captured. And this happens when you're querying a website and that website wants to make sure that you're an actual human who's doing it. So the tool will pull in that CAPTCHA for you and you just simply need to unlock it. So just type in the actual text that you see and then click submit and the tool will be able to proceed. So just keep an eye on those CAPTCHAs. I also don't recommend going out and opening another browser and querying Google or querying Facebook a lot while the tool is running because that might cause you to get captured again and again and again. So just keep an eye on those CAPTCHAs. You can unlock them as they come in and let the tool keep running. All right, we're back now, and as you can see, the tool's brought back a lot of data. And what I recommend doing first when you have all of your data pulled back is to save your project. So you can just go up to File and then Save Project As and then type in your project name. So you could type in, for instance, I would type in something like freelance writing and then click Save. I recommend naming your project after the main keyword that you've searched on. So earlier I actually already saved this project. So as you can see, I've already saved it right here. So I'm not going to resave it. I'll just click cancel. When you save your project, you'll see it up here in the projects drop down here. And now if I were to close Traffic Advantage and open it back up, I could just reopen my project from File, Open Existing Project, and all of the data would already be saved and it would populate right back into the interface instantly. All right, we're back now, and as you can see, the tool's brought back a lot of data. And what I recommend doing first when you have all of your data pulled back is to save your project. So you can just go up to File and then Save Project As and then type in your project name. So you could type in, for instance, I would type in something like freelance writing and then click Save. I recommend naming your project after the main keyword that you've searched on. So earlier I actually already saved this project. So as you can see, I've already saved it right here. So I'm not going to resave it. I'll just click cancel. When you save your project, you'll see it up here in the projects drop down here. And now if I were to close Traffic Advantage and open it back up, I could just reopen my project from File, Open Existing Project, and all of the data would already be saved and it would populate right back into the interface instantly. Now at any time you can always pause the tool. So if the tool is pulling back data and you feel like you have enough, then you can go up here and click the pause button and the tool will just stop pulling back data. You can also refresh streams by clicking this button up here. So if I wanted to refresh all of this data and just get fresh data for all of these different streams, I would just go up here, select this button here, all-none, select that, make sure all of these are checked, click out of it, and then click refresh and all of the data would be rerun. Or I could just elect to refresh certain streams. So if I click this again, all of these will be unchecked. And now let's say that I just want to refresh YouTube. I could click that, click out of it, and then rerun and it would just refresh the YouTube stream. Now I don't want to rerun any data right now since I've just run this data, so I'm going to uncheck that and click out of it. And now let's take a closer look at the information that's been brought back. You can see that each stream has a scroll bar. So YouTube, here's the scroll bar for YouTube, and here are all the different conversations that are happening on YouTube around the keyword freelance writing. And as you can see, it goes on and on and on. There's just so much potential for locking in these little streams of traffic. Here's Yahoo Answers, here is LinkedIn, and Google, and Twitter, and Facebook, and forums, and so on. And you can see the number of streams generated, the number of actual conversations per stream, I should say. So 38 blog conversations, 48 forum conversations, 35 Facebook conversations, 61 Twitter, and so on and so forth. 1,053 Yahoo Answers conversations. So let's take a closer look at these conversations now. And we'll just go over to niche blogs. So this is the conversation, one of the conversations brought back. You'll see the title of the conversation, a link to the conversation. We'll take a closer look at that in a second. Here you can save the conversation if you want and store it for later reference. We'll talk about saving and hiding in just a few minutes. And then here, if you hover over this, it tells you a couple of useful bits of information: the reach, the daily visits, and the Alexa rank. So daily visits and reach are pretty much the same thing, just for your reference. And that's helpful information to know because then you can really zero in on the conversations that have the most reach. You can get an idea before you even get involved in the conversation how much traffic you might get, because this one, for example, under forums, you can see if we hover over this, the reach looks like it's 2,578. The Alexa rank for this forum is 12,951, which is really, really good. So you can kind of gauge the popularity of these conversations by looking at those numbers, and really it'll help you hone in on the ones that will get you the most traffic. So let's talk more now about how to use these different conversations to generate traffic back to your website. So the whole key with this is that no matter what stream type that you're tapping into, the approach is this: you basically want to provide value first and then get a link in there back to your website. Sometimes you might want to comment once or twice in a given conversation just to give some value back to that conversation and then refer people back to your website. Now, another technique is to enter these conversations as a third party. So you can come up with a pen persona and you can approach it that way. So for instance, I could go to this blog. So what writers need to know. So let's click on that. That will open the actual web page in a new window. And you can see that this is an article on a blog, what writers need to know about freelancing for content mills, business websites, and information portals. And down here at the bottom, there should be a place to leave a comment. So yes, there is. So I can join the conversation and leave a comment here. Now, when I leave that comment, I can either do it as, for instance, Kate Iverson. So you guys will recall, let's say that I want to get traffic back to this website, freelancewritingresources.com. So the pen name on this site, we talked about this earlier in this module, it's Kate Iverson. So I could leave a comment as Kate Iverson, or I could leave a comment as another pen persona. I could just be a different freelance writer and say, you know, I found Kate Iverson's information. It's very, very helpful. Here's a link to her site. So that's a good way to approach this, because then you're not just doing blatant self-promotion. It won't come across that way in these conversations. Instead, it comes across as a recommendation from a third party. So that's just something to think about. That's a good approach. What you can do when you find a stream that looks good is, instead of leaving a comment right then and there, so instead of scrolling down now and leaving a comment right now, what I'll just do, if I find a stream that looks promising, or a conversation I should say, that looks promising, I'll just save it. So you can click this save here, like that, and what that will do is it will save it to another bucket within Traffic Advantage. So if you go up here to status, you can see that there's different status. There's saved, hidden, completed, and archived. So if I just wanted to see my saved conversations, I could click here, and it would just show the conversations I've saved, which in this case is that one that we've just saved. Now, once I lock in a link, so again, let's say that now I go to this website and I lock in a link back to my site. What I can do now is mark it as complete. So now I can mark it as complete, and the stream will basically disappear and it will be saved now in completed. So now you can track where you've gone out and actually left your links on the internet. You can basically track which conversations you've locked in as traffic sources to your site. So if I check saved and now check on completed, you'll see that it shows the completed conversation. So we can also archive. Archive is really a bucket reserved for just anything that you don't want showing up in these other buckets. You can just archive them. So I can always do that by clicking archive, and then it'll be moved to the archive folder, as we can see. So let's remove this from the archive. So it's back in our main saved section, or actually it should be back in our all section. Yeah, there it is. Now if you find a stream that just doesn't look promising at all, you can just hide it right away. So for instance, this stream right here, let's take a look at this one. So this is a blog, it's a conversation rather, not a stream. So just for clarity, these are streams: blog, forum, Facebook, Twitter. Those are streams. These individual squares, these buckets, we call conversations. So I've clicked on this first conversation here, And I was looking at this site earlier, and there just doesn't appear to be much to it. So Traffic Advantage identified it as a blog that's talking about freelance writing. So it did its job, but as you can see, there's no place to comment. There's no social conversations actually happening. So this isn't really a good prospect because there's not really an opportunity here that I can see to get a link back to my site. So I would close that, and then I would just click on hide. So now it's been added to the hidden category. So if I were to go here, it would be in the hidden category. And it's basically separating it out from those that I'll be saving or completing or archiving. So you can use these different buckets as you see fit to sort these different conversations, again, as you see fit. Now let's look at a few more stream types. So for forums, for example, this is one of my favorite sources of traffic, forums. So let's click on this first one here. And we'll open up the web page. And what the tool's identified is a conversation happening in Writer's Digest, as you can see. And what's great about forums, and one of the reasons I love forums so much, is you can just build up a really nice flow of traffic over time, because what a lot of people do in forums, and what I recommend you do, is just put a little footer, basically a footer, or it's also called a signature, so that everything that you post to the forum, so this person, PLS, everything that he posts to this forum has this signature in it. And you can see that he's included a link. So you can include these links in your signature and then go into a forum and post multiple times. And over time, if you're adding value to the forum, people will start clicking that link, going over to your website and joining your list. So what you want to do when you find a forum that looks promising is register for the forum and then start posting. Set up your signature in the forum and then start posting. Now the other thing you want to do though is look at the content of these threads and see if it's a thread that you think would result in a lot of traffic, or if it's a thread where there's an opportunity to post a useful response. So this thread in the forum, it doesn't, I don't know if I see a lot of opportunity here. Basically this person's saying that they're building a new tool for freelance writers. This person's responding with something, and then I suppose a good response might be something like, you could respond and say, I have a list of freelance writers at my website, freelancewritingresources.com. Maybe I can email my list about your tool once it's ready. So that just gets your site some exposure there in the forum. And you can put a link right there back to your site. So, just think about what you could, ways to enter these conversations and get people back to your site without doing it in a sleazy way. So I'm going to save that one. And let's look at this one. So get paid for freelance writing. So here's another forum, and same thing applies here. Now actually this one doesn't look very good. So this just looks like some sort of spammy post. Maybe not. Doesn't look like something I really want to take time reading. It's not in English, it's not in my language, so I'm going to go ahead and just click out of that one. So we're going to hide that. Scroll down a little bit. So here we go. Scrolling down to Barbara Shear, let's click on that one. All right, this appears to be a pretty nice forum. It's all about freelance writing, so we can go into this forum, look through these different conversations and look for opportunities to post. Again, when you find a forum that looks strong, just go ahead and register for the forum, and then you can start making your posts. Now let's head over here to Yahoo Answers. This is also one of my favorite sources of traffic. So here, the tools identified all the different Yahoo Answers where people have asked questions related to freelance writing and responses have been posted. And what you can do is you can narrow in on these different conversations or these different questions, and then you can swoop in and provide answers and link back to your site. So let's look through here. So let's just click on one of these. Let's click on how to plan and schedule. So I'm going to click on that. Okay, this doesn't look like it's specifically related to freelance writing. This is more about planning and scheduling. So let's just try clicking on this one here. So how to estimate my value, or how to estimate the value of my freelance writing. So someone's asking, basically, it looks like how to set their rates. And then this person has answered. And this is really the only answer here. But what you could do is sign up. You could sign up for a Yahoo Answers account and you could go in and you could respond. And again, you could respond as yourself, as Kate, in my case, Kate Iverson, and say, hey, check out my site, it will really help you. Or what you can do is post as someone else, as a third party, and say, hey, this site by Kate Iverson is really helpful. check it out. And that's often the best way to go. Now, the cool thing about Yahoo Answers is a couple of things actually. One is that Google loves Yahoo Answers. So Google ranks these different Yahoo Answers pages very, very well in their search engine. So Yahoo Answers gets a lot of traffic. The other cool thing about it is that the person who asked the question can select a best answer. And that best answer is tagged to the top. Now, this particular question only has one answer, but let's see if we can find some others, and you'll see what I mean by best answer. I'm just going to type in freelance writing. Let's try going to that one there. Okay, so there you can see this question, questions about freelance writing, best answer right here. And then there's other answers below. This person's provided some links. So that's one way actually to add value to your posts, is you can say, hey, these resources are some extra things that can help you, and you can put a link back to your site here. But if you take a little bit of time and just post something with just a little bit of value, then often your answer will be selected as the best answer, and it's super glued to the top here. And then this page can often these pages rank well in Google. So then if someone goes to Google and types in a keyword related to freelance writing, then sometimes these pages show up at the top of the results, and people make their way to these pages and see your answer and click on your links. It happens a lot. So the power of this tool, the power of Traffic Advantage, is that you can lock in over and over again these little streams of traffic. So just tapping into that one Yahoo answer that we looked at, that could result maybe in, you never know, it could result in 5 visitors per day, it could result in 20 visitors per day. But that's free, highly targeted traffic. And you just lock these in over and over and over again. And pretty soon, pretty quickly, if you just spend, again, a few hours with this, you can lock in multiple streams of traffic like that, and it really starts to add up. It starts to add up to 50, 100, 200, 300 visitors per day, all of free traffic funneling back to your site. Let's look at one more stream over here. So YouTube will just take this first video here and click on it. And as you can see, this is a video about building a 6-figure freelance writing business. And in terms of where you would comment here, you would comment just down here in the comments section. As we all know, YouTube videos allow for comments, and you can provide or post links here or post comments, and also post links in these comments back to your site. So that's how to go about locking in traffic from these different conversations. And whenever you want to start a new project, you can store an unlimited number of projects in the tool. So you would just go to File, go ahead and save your existing project, and then go to File and then New Project. It may ask you again if you'd like to save. Go ahead and click Yes. And then from here, it's going to ask you to enter your search text. But what you may want to do first is just go back, and you might want to choose different streams this time. So you may just want to focus, say, on blogs, or you may just want to focus on Q&A sites. And from there, click Confirm, and then it will ask for your keyword. And let's say this time I want to search for conversations related to beta fish. So maybe I have a freelance writing site, but also a beta site. So I actually do in this case. So you can run the tool for your different sites. That's the point. So I've typed in beta fish. I can click Continue now. And now it's basically opened up a new project for me. And it's going to search Q&A sites for beta fish related posts that are happening. And so now I can save this project. So let's just actually pause this for now. And I can go and save this project as, let's call it beta fish. And just save that on my computer. And then now you can see that it shows up here in the drop-down. So now I can toggle between projects. So I can go back to freelance writing if I want, and that will load all of my freelance writing data. And then I can go back to beta fish if I want. That will load all my all of my beta fish data, and so on. So as you can see, Traffic Advantage is an extremely powerful tool.